over here in Wallace, what I want to do is try to get this scene moved along a little bit. It's been sitting like this with just the creamery, which is a kit I built. I think, is it a branch line kit? I believe it is. It's actually a prototype on the New York, Ontario, and Western that I built a long time ago and said, you know what, I'm going to use it. Now I may take it back to the workshop and do some more weathering and detailing and etc., etc., now that my skills have progressed slightly, very slightly. But what I want to do here, you know, looking at this area, I thought it'd be kind of neat to have a little, what they call a public track or a team track. I think the Pensy called them public tracks. And I think it would work here. I asked some of my model railroad buddies, and they don't think it'd be too overwhelming. What I'm talking about adding is, this is a little bridge crane I got from Better Than Scratch. They had it on their website, and I really liked it and picked it up a while ago. So right here, dun, 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 dun. All right, that's where I'm thinking of adding that. And of course, you can roll in, you know, flat cars to go under there to be unloaded with stuff for the local populace. And maybe even down here they can unload lumber or something like that. I know it's a little close to the creamery, but hey, it's, you know, selective compression. So that's what I'm going to work on now. This is before I've even started. I haven't completed this or weathered it yet. This is nice. This is a nice brass model. This is very nice. Then I said the creamery is here. I have got the signals in at this end of the interlocking. They're Tomar signals. They're dropped down. I just have to wire them up down below, which I hate crawling around the layout and underneath the layout now. But you do what you have to do. And then here, in this spot, I have another Craftsman kit by Laser 3 Modeling. I like the kit. I bought it, again, ages ago. Now, it will take me a while to build it, because it's similar to the one that was built over in Fairview, which through the magic of droning, that's the other laser 3 modeling kit over in Fairview. So I just recently built that. I have it kind of in my mind how to do it. I probably won't go quite as crazy on the interior wall studs and everything. But anyway, I'm probably not going to do a video of that. I've done enough videos on kit builds. I don't think people need to see those anymore. But I'm thinking to put it here. It won't be rail served. It's just kind of another industry that's kind of in this area to kind of give it some more, you know, visual interest. It's not a real big kit either. It kind of fit up here at this end. I think it would look pretty good. Alright, that's what we're going to work on now. I have to do something with the scenery here to bring it up this little... This, I think, is where the local milk farmers or dairy farmers, you know, brought their milk in. So I need to work on that a little bit, which will be easy. Just some, you know, pink foam carved out, so there's a little hill there for people to drive up. And these buildings definitely need some work, you know, weathering and whatnot. They look way too clean. Anyway, all right. So just got the tools ready. Gonna make a space for the bridge crane, and let's see how things work out. Alright, pretty much ready to secure the new ground or the new sub-level, because I had to bring things up a little bit. Again, this is, you know, this spur before, way back when I started in the modern area, was just that. It was just a spur. Nothing really there, just for set off of bad orders or whatever. There was no industry or anything. And I backdate, and of course now I want to do things, so that it takes a little bit of work to make things fit. So okay, so if I leave that crane there, and I bring in my flat car with my cork on it. Okay, so that would be the team spot, public spot, or right here where they're going to unload lumber or other various things. I'm not going to put a platform. Nope, nope. It's just more rural. It's just a crane for farm implements for the local farm community, and then over here they'll unload lumber out of box cars or whatever else they might want to get off of there. So that's that. What I'm using here, this isn't exactly what I would want to do, It's actually 2 levels of N-gauge cork. I didn't have any HO. HO would have fit nice. The N-gauge isn't bad. I don't know if it'll float. Anyway, it's I can make it work. Again, this will all be kind of level here. The tracks, you know, kind of low. I had to build it up because this side was built up. So I had to build this side up, which is okay, because I needed to raise the buildings anyway. And I still might take the ice house and put a small little foundation around it. Not much. You know, probably not even an eighth. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. And then this is what I had to do over here, because the back of this has got this little protrusion where they drive up. I guess the local dairy farmers unload their bottles of milk, cans of milk, I should say, not bottles, cans of milk. I apologize for that. And then I'm going to smooth this out. I'll use some either sculpt mold or fasten font or something. Well, I'm not worried about that. That's easy to do. This was a little bit of a challenge, only because I didn't know how I wanted to do it. All my foam carving tools are with Dale Desser. So Dale, I hope you're using them. So I had to go with a knife, which is not the ideal way to do this, but I think I made it work okay. And what I actually did, being the weirdo that I am, I wanted to make sure that, you know, okay, a vehicle has to physically be able to get up there. So, assuming this is the truck, and I don't know this is really what they would use. You know, it's a little steep coming up here. I'm going to work on the angle of repose here a little bit with when I do this. But even here, even at this steeper angle, the truck doesn't bottom out. And then it comes up, and it parks there, and then going down is a little bit smoother. So that seems a little bit better. And then they could, you know, make the turn and get out of here. They can also come in and back up to here. Oops, of course, it would help if I show you what I'm doing. Over there, I gotta be careful though. If I do put this other building here, I gotta see. Again, it's not real big, but it's gonna take some room here. So I gotta see if I want to actually do that or not. I don't know. But that's the way I'm gonna do that. And then, of course, put the truck on the railroad tracks. High rail, high rail. You know, smooth all this out. Once I get this all glued down, smooth it, blend it. This will be easy to do. And then we'll blend it up at this end. I got some pieces just kind of laying in there right now. The road itself will come in here and then go up, you know, here. You can go back to this area for the public track, up to there or over there to get to the other building if I decide to do that. So, all right, so that's where we are. Now the thing is to get this N-scale cork secured down, get it glued and weighted. And then when I do that, I'll probably take the bridge crane and the creamery into the workshop and work on that a little bit while that's all drying. And then get the cork blended in and then get things in place. All right, more to follow. I just forgot to show this. a little bit of weight, anyone? So, yeah, it might be a little overkill. That's every weight I have. I figured, you know what? If I got them, I'm going to slap them on there. So, all right, going to let that set up. Ooh, doggy. We'll be back when this is dry. And I drive some 4-inch nails into it, too, to help hold it down. All right, more to come. Alrighty, so here we are in Wallace. You can see I got the new earth in. And what I've decided to do here, I'm going crazy, actually was a suggestion from one of my fellow local model railroaders that at first I thought, I don't want to do that. But the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, he's right. So what I'm going to do here, again, this is going to be it's the Rice Brothers Creamery and Ice House, which is the old branch line kit that is currently being updated a little bit. I'm doing some detailing and weathering in the workshop. And then, you know, this I needed to put down to make it nice and level, so that's all done. This is done with fast and final to kind of slope things nice and gradual. And now what I'm going to do, I know, be prepared, this is going to get crazy. Alright, I'm going to add a number 6 turnout right here. I'm going to bring this track over here, here, and then up to here to where we're going to have that small little bridge crane. It was going to be here, but again, based on some suggestions, yeah, it's probably a little bit too tight, and it might make the scene look a little compressed or something, or whatever you want to call it. And the suggestion was, well, if you're going to do that, bring it out on the back. I got that room there, so you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to try that. I have the turnout on order. I hate to say this, don't get offended. I have Micro Engineering number 6 right-hand turnout I could use, but I am not putting another Micro Engineering turnout on this layout. Don't like them, just not using them. So I have a Pico number 6 on order. Anyway, that's just personal preference. Don't get upset. So I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do now is probably come in and paint this. Just some kind of earth or a green tone. Doesn't really matter. It's all going to be covered anyway. Just to kind of kill it and get rid of the white. And then get the creamery ice house ready to go in. I'm deciding what I probably should do, but I'm not known for doing what I should do, is get this area done, or where I want to get it, you know, scenic, so I'm not reaching over things to work back there. But I probably won't do that, and I'll regret it later. So that's the plan. So I'm going to go ahead and get working on this front, at least get it painted. Help me kind of visualize things, get ready for the turnout to come in. And I've got to cut the track, probably cut it some up here. I want to save the derail. I really don't want to have to take that out. I don't think I have to. I don't have a right-hand turnout. I have a number 6 Pico left hand that I turned over upside down, which is the same thing. It's just upside down. But it's going to work. I do a little bit of smoothing in here to get the track over, but it won't be a big deal. So that's what's coming next. So more to come on the progression of Wallace. Oh boy, gluing up. So I got the weights on the new Spur. A little bit overkill, but what the heck, I got the weights. Might as well use them. I did start off by putting the turnout in first. That's already done. Actually, and for the turnout and the track, I actually took it in the garage and gave it a spray with my German field gray, which is a nice dull gray. And then I got the rails and ties painted. Then cleaned the rails off and glued everything down. I prefer to glue it. I'm just weird. I don't know. There's other options, but that's just what I do. So now, I'll have to sit up for several hours. And I'll probably come back in and make sure everything's lined up right. So I got to add some feeders, power the frog. Probably come back and weather, detail the track a little bit. And then get ready to get the buildings in place. We'll see. I have some ideas how I might want to try to do this track. I have a vision in my head. The voices in my head are telling me how to do this. We shall see if I can actually bring it to fruition. So, okay. More to come once the weights have done their job. Ay, what's going on here? Alright, I'm going to try this. I don't know how it's going to work, but what I wanted it to do here, where the public track comes back, is there's going to be a little road that's going to sneak in here, across the tracks, and go up underneath the little outcropping over there for milk to be dropped off at the creamery. And I also wanted it I know you've seen those locations where like the rails are just sticking up from the earth, ties are all buried and everything. That's what I was going for. And back here, I tried it with 1mm foam, because that is mostly on a piece of old Micro Engineering flex. Well, it doesn't work that well on the Atlas flex, because the darn molded on spikes are just way too big, and it wouldn't fit nice. So I was like, okay, what can I do here? Because I really do have a vision of how I want this to look. I can picture it in my head. Well, I started off cutting 010 styrene in all kinds of different pieces. I don't have a whole lot. Had it laid in there and thought, that's not going to work. That's just going to be a mess. How do you glue it down so it'll stick okay, you know, to the Atlas track, to the cork, to the fast and final. So I was like, you know what? I have a little bit of Smooth It. It's all gone now. I didn't have much. I had like a half cup. And in fact, that's it. That is literally all that I had. I said, I'll try that. I'll scoop it in there and try to keep it below the rail head. Now I know I'm going to have to come back in and do some monkeying around to clear the flangeways out and everything. But this way, I'm hoping that when I get it, you know, painted and get some gravel on it, it's going to kind of be a gravelly type environment back here. Again, I have a perfect picture of what I'm going for in one of the Morning Sun, what book is it? New York Central Facilities. It's perfect. It's a freight house with a team track. It's exactly the look I'm going for. So hopefully I'll be able to get that. And then we'll, you know, this will all be kind of, this won't be a road. I mean, it'll be kind of a gravel road, part of it that goes in. But the rest of it's all just going to be earth, dirt, gravel, other paraphernalia. Not a paved road at all. So we'll see. Once I get it done and blended in, we'll see how this works. So trying two techniques. One here with the 1mm craft foam. And then over here with the Smooth It. We'll see. So more to come. I do have the creamery and the ice house ready to go. Just did a little bit of detailing, some slight weathering, and you can see I did a little bit of detailing on the side of the ice house. Added the Rice Brothers sign. That was fun. I added some hinges and doorknobs on the doors on this side because originally I had them on the other side because that's the side you're going to see. I didn't do this side. Well, now you're going to see this side because that's how they're going to sit, albeit right here. But so I went back in and added hinges and stuff and added electrical drop to this and some details on the dock. I'll go into them more when I get it all placed. Have a little bit of a mound here to go in so you can drive up to the creamery door. So we'll see. Alright, so I'll let this set up. Whew. I don't know. Again, I have an exact vision. I can see it in my head. I really can see exactly how I want this to look. Let's see if I can pull it off. Alright, so here it is with the Smooth It. Kind of sanded a little bit and did a little bit of work to try to take it out of the flangeways and whatnot and bring it down some. And then painted it all the same color. Just more for looks, really. There's no real importance with the paint. And then I got my Rapido RS11 in here. Just to show you that trains do run in this layout. I mean, I wouldn't want to be called lame. Alright, so I'm just testing it before I come in and do the groundwork and the gravel road and everything. Just make sure now that it runs okay. And so far it seems to be fine. I'm sure once I get the ballast down and everything, I'll have to come back and work on it. I know there's a little bit of fiddliness. I did ballast this turnout here, part of it, and you just need to come back and clean off the inside of the rails and the typical stuff you do when you ballast. So far everything seems to work fairly good. And again, I'm not overly happy. Right here there's kind of an elevation change. I mean, but again, it is just a freaking industrial spur, so I'm not too worried about it. If it was a main line, I would not be happy at all, but I think we'll be okay. You can kind of see the elevation change. It's right there. I know you really can't. I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera, but I can notice it visually. Whether others will, I don't know. So, seems to be running okay. I do like the Rapido RS11. I'll tell you what, that's a nice locomotive. Runs well. I like the sound. See a little bit of clicking in there. I need to come back in there and clean things up a little bit. So, and what I do with him, and then just kind of bring him up and park him under the bridge. I don't want any taggers to come by and make it real obvious where he is. So he'll just sit there. Okay, see you later, buddy. Waiting for the next. We'll go ahead and we'll rather turn out normal. Lock it. Okay, so now we'll come back in and start doing the scenery. So this little mound is in. I have that place where I want to set the creamery in. So I might do a little bit around it and then get these two buildings set in, and then work on all of this shenanigans here. So, all right, more to come as we move along here. All right, here we go. We got the creamery and the ice house set in. Hole drilled for the building lights for the creamery, because the creamery does have an interior details and lights on it. So that's set. So you can see how that little mound that lets them drive up to unload the milk. And then, like I said, on this side I scratch built these two docks, added hinges and latches and everything to the doors, added the sign just because it looks kind of neat, some details. In between there, now this is really a stretch, I have no idea, but there are doors that go between the ice house and the creamery, and I thought, I'm going to add a little platform or something like that walking, because you figure it'd be kind of dangerous if people are throwing ice from the ice house in, and you might have to, anyway, I just thought it looked neat. So, a little detail I added there. So that's pretty much ready to go. At this end, you can see I had a little shed. This is just sitting here. This was a shed that I found, actually, unfortunately. A gentleman passed away, and some of his friends had an estate sale. And he had a whole bunch of, kind of really nice little, typical, ubiquitous little sheds that you need. Now, I did repaint it, added some semi-peeling paint on the sides, added a little base. I actually need to weather that a little bit before I install it. Redid the roof with some corrugated material and weathered it up a little bit. So I'm thinking that's going to sit right there. Why? I don't know. Just for something. Because on occasion, off of this public track back here, which again goes back to a little bridge crane that'll be there, but they may bring in something here and have to unload some lumber or something. I don't know. Anyway, who knows? I just thought that looked kind of neat, so I'll add that to that end, set it on the building there. And that's going to be the track side, so you got a spot for a reefer coming in for ice, and then obviously a milk car goes. Oops, what did I just hit? Okay, what's going on? What did I hit? Oh, the weed. There's a weed right there. Oh boy, okay. I thought maybe the platform was too close. So that's that. So now it's really time to start on the scenery. All right, let's get at that. All right, over here in Wallace, Junction, with the new building I'm going to put here, I did have to do a little bit of remedial terraforming, only because since the building is running this way, and I wasn't planning that originally, the earth was unlevel. So I just had to add a piece here, a small piece there, just so the building sits nice and level across in there. So I got that done. I got some of the fast and final, smooth things out, got it painted. That's got to set up for a little bit. Then I'm ready to bring the building over, get that in, and then start working on the scenery in this whole area. So, okay. Let's get cracking. Crack on, folks. Okie dokie. We're over here in Wallace, and I'm getting the scenery started over here. Long delayed because of other things going on. But what I'm trying here, this is definitely an experiment to see if it works or not. I don't know how it's going to work. What this is, this area here is some Vallejo earth texture. Actually, what it is, I tried two different ones here. You can see some more back there. This is brown earth, and they call that dark earth. And these are like an acrylic paste. Kind of the, it's kind of like a, if you mix some plaster and got it, you know, kind of smooth. It's hard to explain. It's a paste. Now I colored them because you can see, I don't know if you can see how well the colors come out. That's like a darker gray. That's kind of a, I don't know, muckish brown. But I added some Vallejo paint. The nice thing about these is you can mix them with anything in the Vallejo line, or any acrylic really. I just use some, like a light mud color to lighten that a little bit. And I use same thing, light mud in here to lighten it a little bit, and it looks like that. That's this. Kind of toned down a little bit. And what I'm kind of experimenting with is, can I get it to look like the ground is up to the ties, maybe not over the ties here, and that's why I kind of pushed it in, but it's kind of hard to muck that paste around. It's kind of messy, but I just wanted to try it. I can't help myself. And then I kind of put it in here and said, well, I'll kind of stipple it a little bit, see how it looks when it dries. You can always come in and color it some more, paint it, wash it, powder it, put some static grass down, you know, something like that. A lot of this is going to be kind of a gray, cindery, industrial type area. And again, I know the look I'm going for. I don't know if I can pull it off. This is smooth it. Again, same thing. I want it to look like all you see are the rails. And you got to be careful, because I'm now going to put some real fine ballast on this, which will be to be like a gravel road area. And then over here, this is the brown. You can't tell because what I did, that has actually been sprinkled, again, just to see kind of what it looks like, if it will adhere to it. What I have here is some sifted Quikrete, the concrete stuff. I saw the bag out there in the garage and said, I wonder if I could take that and sift it. When I say sift it, what I do is I put it through a stocking. That's my stocking. Yeah, I like to wear stockings on the side. No, I'm just kidding. One of my wife's old ones. And it's a little cap, and then I sprinkle it out to kind of filter it to the real fine stuff, which is this. So that's Quikrete. I also tried it with, this is tile grout. Might be too light though. It's almost like a real kind of a whitish color. But again, to this, I think I could add pigments and change the color. But again, I gotta be careful of that, because a lot of that's, you know, for dioramas, when you have a whole layout, you gotta do something on kind of on a larger scale. But I'm just trying here to see what happens. So no promises this is gonna look good when it's done. So I'm gonna let that set up and then come back in. I have to clean the rails, I'm sure, vacuum a little bit, kind of see what that looks like. And then back here, it is again some of the darker earth that was toned down. I want to try to make it look like it's that kind of earth around here, then back in here. Now what I want to do is come in here and smooth it, but it's still too wet. I think it's got to set up a little bit. Because if you try to, you know, lick your finger and just trying to smooth it out, it's still a little bit too wet. Kind of like when you're working with sculpting mold, you got to wait for it to set a little bit. Although for this, you got to wait a lot longer. And we'll see. I'll try that. And again, just want to see how that. Again, it's more playing around than anything. And then we'll get back to the main area. And this will probably be. Oh, I got some, you know, fine gray ballast that I use for. Oh, excuse me. For gravel roads and whatnot. This is all going to be kind of a gray, gravelish looking area. So, okay. So let's see how these grand experiments turn out. I'm kind of curious to see what a couple things. I'm curious to see how the Quikrete takes the wet water and then takes the diluted Mod Podge. That's always, you know, how the scenic materials will take water, basically. Sometimes it just kind of beads up and sits on top of it. Sometimes it flows through real nice. I don't know what Quikrete will do. What Quikrete will do. Seeing that it's meant to be mixed with water to mix, you know, kind of a concrete paste, maybe it'll take it okay. I don't know. So it's more of an experiment. Like I said, that area and then this area, we'll see how this sets up. And we'll see how it looks a little bit later. So now it's got to dry up and then we'll come back later. Okay, trying to get the ground, earth, gravel, road, scenery, blah, done here in over in Wallace. You can see I have the It's all down. I put a layer of paint down, just some gray craft paint. Sprinkled all this stuff through my little shaker with a pantyhose, so it goes on nice and smooth. And if it's showing up on camera, you can see where I'm trying to simulate that road coming in. I don't know if it really shows up very well. The gravel, a little dark spot heading down the center there of the two lanes, and then progress over here, and it's all kind of a dirty, gravelly, garvelly type area. And this is just the first layer. A lot more to do. You can see they kind of pull up here and they can turn around and come back out that way. And then this is where the little bridge crane will be. I built it up around that building. Yeah, the pads were really a little bit too high. I probably should have sunk them in, but anyway, we'll be fine. So this is the pre-wetting. Now I have to come in here with a with a ton of wet water and diluted Mod Podge, and it'll be interesting to see. Kind of the reason I'm doing this is also for myself, how it looks when it's after it's wet, you know, glued and dried. See how much things change colors. There's just a variety of different gravels in there. Don't even ask me what I use. I just grab stuff and go. It's not really important. Use what you like. So we'll see. The track is going to take some serious tender love and care once I get that done. Yeah, there'll be some quality time cleaning out the flangeways on that, but okay. But that's the look I'm going for, so I'm willing to do the extra work for it. Alright, so let's get things wet here, glued up, and see how it looks when it's all done. Or at least dry, not done. Oh dear Lord, what have I done? I wanted to film this just to show. Those that are experienced with scenery, you'll know this, but if you've never done it, the first time you do it, it might scare the bejeebers out of you. This is, especially when you're doing real fine dirt, gravel, ballast, real fine stuff. Not like the stuff you use to ballast track, maybe even a little finer than that. And it's put on flat. What's going to happen is, I wet it with wet water, which for me, I use about 50-50 isopropyl, 70% isopropyl in water. I mean, you might call it super wet water. Anyway, it's wet water, you know, to break the surface tension. But some of the stuff, and especially if it's even natural, like if you go outside and get dirt, and you sift it and filter it and get it down to a real fine, you know, nice dirt, it depends. Not all of it takes the wet water and the glue the same. And then you get it on and it looks like this, and you're like, oh, what have I done? It's kind of like, you know, you're a teenager, you take your dad's car, you're all happy, then you back into a bollard. Like, oh, what have I done? He's gonna kill me. Trust me, it's gonna dry up just fine. It looks really weird right now. That is the diluted Mod Podge kind of sitting on top of real flat, you know, real fine. What I'm using is gravel, and then back there was a little bit of depression, so it kind of pooled up. Now what you can do, and what I tend to do in this instance, and it's going to be really hard to see now, but I'll come along the edges or areas like that where I want, and I'll sprinkle in some burnt grass from Woodland Scenics. Here's some over here. Again, it looks really weird when it's wet and starting to dry, but then once it dries up, you kind of see what it looks like. It's starting to dry. Even over here, and this has been sitting for about an hour, and it's still kind of wet. It just takes time for it to absorb into this type of material when it's laid flat like this. Then I came over here, and along the edge I put some burnt grass in there as well. So I just wanted to show that just in case you've never done it before. And again, the first time you do it, so it doesn't freak you out. And you can start to see how it looks. This is still wet. But, you know, this here is kind of absorbed in and is settling. Now, don't touch it. Don't come back and try to move things around or flatten it out, because you'll make a mess. You've got to wait till it dries. You can always fix things later. Not a big deal. Trust me. This is definitely an iterative process. So it takes time. I'm going to come back. I can see where there's some areas I have to fix. You have to come back and add some more in, because no matter what you do, in fact, here's a bare spot right there. Anytime you have a slope like that. And I did paint that first, and then I sprinkled some on, and then I came back and added a little bit more, kind of got it the way I wanted it, and then came back with the wet water and the diluted Mod Podge. It's going to run. It's just the way it is. It's a slope. I mean, and water, and you know, it's going to find its own level. So you're going to have bare spots like that you have to come back and fix. I don't even worry about it now. You can try, but I'm like, nah, just let it go. Let it ride. Just let it ride, and come back and fix it later. So, all right, that's how bizarre things look now. But if I'm right, when this all dries up, I'll shoot another video before I do another thing, and we'll see what it looks like after all this crazy white glue stuff dries up. 24 hours later, or thereabouts. It's the next day. This is what it looks like when it's set up a little bit. It has kind of come back to the colors that look a little bit more normal, and of course all the puddles of the diluted Mod Podge have gone away. So I like to let it sit actually for about 2 days, because when I'm going to come in and sand where the road is, make it a little bit smoother. You can kind of get a feel for it. There's a truck sitting there on the one side. So you see, got the 2 lanes coming in here. They tend to drive in, come up the ramp, drop off their milk, and then come down around and then drive back out again. So that's kind of why I try to show that. Then I'll come back in again. I'll sand it where it's lighter. Maybe come in even with some powders. There's a lot of things you can do. This little hill here, I may even put some static grass on that. I may try it. That's just a little scruffy little hill that's going to be there. There'll be a little bit of vegetation there. I did come back in and add the fence on the back side of this little shed. So that's in there, setting up, and I did, just trying to change the f-stop so it's a little bit brighter, a little bit dark there. And I came in with some of the industrial dirt to kind of gray that up, and then this whole back side, I got all kinds of details, just kind of stuff thrown back there, kind of a huge storage, aka junk pile. And then there'll be bushes and shrubs along the little drainage ditch that's nice and green, so that'll be greened up here. And of course we'll continue the trees and shrubbery up the side there. Alright, so, and then back here you can see, like I said, what you can do is you can sprinkle on some of the burnt grass, because it shows up a lot of places. That's what it looks like when everything dries up. That is nice and dry now. But again, I like to let it sit for a good 2 days. Let it get nice and set and hard so I can come in and continue on. And this is probably going to be scruffier back here, some tufts and other grass. And maybe even, I don't know, maybe I'll play with some static grass back there too. The track definitely is going to need some TLC, like I said, just because you know what I'm trying to accomplish here. I don't know how well it looks on camera, but I definitely got it up over the ties, but it's, a car is going to ride right up on it, so I'm going to have to come in there with a point of an awl or a real sharp knife and just kind of clean that out a little bit. This here is a little bit of runoff, so when I put some of the water in, so that's going to stain like that, but that's okay. I can blend that in later, I hope. That's the one issue I did notice. When you do this, that's why I try to do this all at once. Because when you come back and redo things, like I'll come in here and sand, and I can see there's some divots, and I'll have to come in and kind of touch stuff up. But when you redo it, when this dries, you'll see that it won't dry the same, unfortunately. At least in my experience. It'll look different. You'll see that little bit of a line there, which is okay. I mean, it's not like, you know, water doesn't lay around on the ground and that kind of stuff. But anyway, just a note. When you come back in, you'll definitely can tell sometimes, most of the time in my experience, when you have done something, you come back and redo it. Here's another example. I'll drone down this way slowly. And then down here, you can see where, again, right along the line there, that's where it was wet before, and that's where the original was. And this won't dry, it'll be the same as that. So unless you want to wet the whole thing again, which I really wasn't into, that's just kind of what you get. Alright, so you can see I'm going to hear some of the burnt grass just kind of put in along the side there. So not too bad. Getting there. I'm going to let this dry up one more day and then come back in and start the next round of shenanigans. Alrighty, we're moving along here. I'm almost to the point. Almost. Where I'm going to say, okay, done for now. It's at the 90% level. Let's move on and do all kinds of other stuff that I got to do. But just to kind of show where we are here, I have the track done. It kind of turned out the way I wanted it. Not exactly, but close enough. It's going to be cleaned now. But I kind of like the way it looks, like the tires are buried. It's kind of a gravelly area. And hopefully, I'm not sure how well it shows up on the video, again because of the lighting and everything, but I did come back in with some pigments to kind of show where the actual, most of the vehicular traffic tends to go. Then I put a little bit of a leftover matte pieces and scrub pieces over there, up along this little embankment here. And then I actually did some static grass, believe it or not. This little area of static grass and with some other stuff in it as well. I did a little bit of static grass over here along the side, and then added some more of the hecky. Oh, what is it? I forget what it is. It's a type of a little, they call it foliage, but I have to find out what it is. And if anyone's interested, just let me know. Kind of gives it more of a three-dimensional look than just the plain old static grass. Static grass is great, but it can tend to be kind of uniform, so I like to make it look scruffy. Just added some stuff to it, and just to prove it, there's the Knock Grassmaster. That's the one that I used. Worked okay. Took one of my friend's suggestions, says use a fresh battery. It did seem to be better, but still, again, to me, what I like to do is kind of, because I'm weird, get down low and say, does it look like grass? Not that we're going to see it at that level, but is it really standing up vertical? And yeah, it is, but it still kind of just lays around a little bit too much for my taste, but it looks okay. There's also another little patch I did back here. That's static grass as well. And then got some details added around the structure here. There's the crate with the motors in it. The guy's getting ready to box it up. I think the customer's going to come in and pick it up pretty soon. Another crate. Some other loads just sitting out there ready to go. Those loads on the right hand side there are from a company called Artitech. If you're not aware of them, I highly recommend you check them out. They make some beautiful, beautiful stuff. Hand painted, pretty much ready to go on the layout. Yes, that does mean it's a little bit pricey, but it's good stuff. And I got this bridge crane that, where did I get that? Better Than Scratch. If you're aware of them, they make kits and details and whatnot. I think I was talking to him one time. I had to order some stuff, and I called him up, and he said, by the way, I have a bridge crane left over if you want to buy it, and got a good price, so I got it and weathered it up, and there it is. That's the flat car sitting there. Added some more details around the end here, and I got some of the foliage back here. Really kind of filled in that little gully. But then that's the way it would be. That's going to be all so grown over. But I did leave a couple bare spots where you can actually look down and see the water laying in there. And I kind of purposely left it over there at the end where the pipe comes out from under the tracks. This is some filigrane busha, MBR trees, MBR bushes, some various scenery and whatnot. I just kind of liked it. I thought it looked kind of nice there as kind of a little bit of a scene break. And then, of course, there's a lot more to do. All this needs to be treed up. Oh, anyway. So, this is area, again, I might do a little bit more, maybe one more real short segment. I'm trying to decide if I want to add one more light. These two, I have a light here and a light there, and they are working. I just got to get them wired up. The interior, the building interior has got lights. As I mentioned before, there's lights inside there. So I want to kind of get that wrapped up, and I can always come back and play around, which I will. Add more smaller bushes, and probably come back in with some of the sill floor, horsetail, to make some more vertical weeds and whatnot. Some more, details got to be thrown around. I got to work along the side of the building a little bit with some tufts and things like that. But then it's just a matter of firing it up and trying the locomotive. Is he still hiding over there? Yeah, there's the Rapido RS11. He's the tester. He's been sitting there for a while while I've been working on the scenery. So, all right, getting close. So maybe a little bit more to do. I have no idea how long this video is getting. Probably way too long, but we'll see. Maybe one more short scene, then we'll get one more short segment, and we'll get this one posted. Okay, time to wrap it up. I did a little bit more work. Not a lot. Came in with a little bit of extra scenery. There's some tufts here and there. You can see there's some filigrane bouchelle, small little pieces. We're at it. I did a little bit here around the buildings. Just a little bit of stuff got put in there. Here on this side, again, you can play with this for freaking ever. And it's kind of fun. But another thing I did, this will show up or not, inside that shipment of motors, I was out in the garage cleaning up, which I spent about 7 hours doing over the weekend, and I had some sawdust in a small little tool or hardware bin. I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe that'll look okay, kind of as, I don't know, as straw or I don't know what in the world they packed their stuff with back in the late 1950s, but I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to call this done for now. I added one of the 3D PRR telephones out there at the end of the interlocking. So, good enough for now. Now it's time to move on to other things. I'm just going to keep droning over here real quick. Too quick. Don't want to make people seasick. Alright, so we got the switch stand in. I had this little tree here because I felt like it. Well, it's more like a shrub or a sapling, more than it's not really a tree. So, that is it. I did get the lights hooked up. I tried to get some video. It just doesn't work. It's way too dark over here, and even cranking the ISO, it just does not work. They look nice. It looks pretty cool in person, but unfortunately it's not going to show up too well for the video. So, but that's it, at least for now. Though, the scene at Wallace with the creamery installed and the little scratch bash and some scenery put along. It's like I said, I'm not calling it done. I'll call it 95%. But it's time to move on and do other things because I have a lot more to do. I just need to shut up and get this video posted. So, alright, thanks for watching. More to come as we undertake other projects around this wonderful layout.